Not because you've done a thorough job and you think that, well, you've actually committed all 10.
No. No, you don't need all 10, because you see, that's what we call cumulative charging. To what end? Now, if you charge murder, manslaughter, well, murder carries the highest penalty. So what useful purpose would it serve to charge theft, manslaughter, murder, attempt to defraud, attempt to conceal, diversion of funds?
How come we never noticed? Because sometimes we see 200 counts, and at the end of the day, nothing even sails through.
It's laughable. It's laughable. It means they don't know what they're doing. They have no clue. Take the most severe count. Take one or two other counts as alternative, just in case you fall short. It's as simple as that. You have no business drafting an indictment with 200 counts in it. How are you going to prove 200 counts? Every single act is a count. It's rubbish.
Now that we have this Administration of Criminal Justice Act,
correct,
how much impact do you see that making?
A lot, because you see, part of the problem that causes the delay in the court process is the lack of court management. You cannot have chief judges of courts managing courts. Professionals, there are people out there who don't necessarily have to be lawyers, who can help you manage that whole court system. The way cases are brought forward, the way cases are scheduled, the way courtrooms are assigned to judges. They are court management professionals that we have to introduce into the judiciary that can actually help judges, just like you're running McDonald's or Kentucky or your Access Bank or whatever. There are managers who do this. Leave the judges to do what they do best and bring in professional managers to actually run those courts. So I think that the Administration of Criminal Justice Act makes some interesting provisions as it lengthens it seeks to lengthen trials by reducing the amount of adjournments that occur, and streamlines the whole trial process. Yes, so that is indeed very encouraging.
Okay, so at the end of the day, now that the Benton gets in, unless something changes, there's special courts to try corruption cases, and they're still going about it the way they are. You don't think we'll get the kind of results we need?
I think there are certain things that we have to outline. First of all, do we need an act of parliament to create a special court? I say no. I think you can handle it simpler. You can go by way of using an administrative procedure. Judges, do you need to select an elitist cadre of 100 judges or 36 judges from the system to do this? I say no. Why don't you just go out and seek fresh judges and bring them into the system? But more importantly, the Attorney General. The Attorney General is the chief law officer, and he would bear the burden of bringing these prosecutions. Now, you have to bear in mind that these prosecutions are international in dimension. You cannot have an Attorney General who has any links to any of the political parties, either by membership or either by having acted for any of this.
So should we separate those offices, Attorney General and Minister of Justice?
Well, we've talked about this in the past, and it's been in various bills running through Parliament. It hasn't seen the light of day. The most interesting thing would have been to separate the two functions so that the Attorney General is above board. I'll give you an example. If you have an Attorney General, for example, who's defended a politician in private practice before he became Attorney General, he then becomes Attorney General. And then this politician is alleged to have carried out or been corrupt, and there's a charge against him. There's going to be a conflict. Because right there, as a private client, he defended that person. Now as a public law officer, he's having to prosecute.
Do you think that, I mean, that kind of search would be looking for a needle in a haystack?
No, it wouldn't.
You don't think so?
There are many lawyers in the country who have not represented politicians, who have no membership of political parties.
Okay.
But more importantly, lawyers who will be acceptable to the international community.
That's on the one hand.
Yes.
And then secondly, too, this has been about the judiciary, but it's not just the judiciary that is fighting corruption.
No.
Do you think that the other arms, I mean, for instance, the National Assembly, what role do you see for the National Assembly?
Well, based on the doctrine of separation of powers, the National Assembly have oversight functions, and we can see in the last few days them exercising their oversight function in relation to the EFCC, in relation to petitions that they've received. That is the National Assembly dealing with the anti-corruption drive. And they can do that perfectly because they're ordinarily empowered to exercise an oversight function. And so clearly that would be the most important role. They simply just have to respond to petitions such as they've just done, as we've seen in the last 2 days.
But the way it's going, you talked about the political will,
yes,
why cases stay so long in the courts. If this president leaves office,
yes,
with the kind of policies and strategies they've employed to fight corruption, do you think at the end of the day it would have been institutionalized?
Well, the drive, the anti-corruption crusade can't be about one person.
Yeah.
It's good to have a focal point, but it has to be about building lasting institutions. And that's why the Federal Government Advisory Committee would do well to look at the existing structures and proffer solutions as to how they can be more effective. But more importantly, the public needs to have confidence in the anti-graft agencies. It doesn't angle well for public confidence to see that the EFCC itself is being alleged to have been corrupt. And we have to be able to restore that confidence. Because you see, that is what drives a whistleblowing system. It's the confidence in the citizenry that if they whistleblow, there will be consequences and they will be protected. Now, if the anti-graft agency itself is actually being called into question, then that's worrying. So there's a need to actually build those institutions and create lasting institutions that will endure.
Mr. Charles Adeogun Phillips, thank you very much indeed for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Adeogun Phillips is a former prosecutor at The Hague, and we've been taking a look at our fight against corruption. We'll be back and focus on another matter we've got for you here today. Don't go away.